Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're talking about Jared Rhoden. Shams Charania tweeted out that he signed a one-year deal to compete for a roster spot with the Portland Trail Blazers. And let's get right into today's video. He played 4 years for Seton Hall in the Big East. He's 22 years old. He'll be 23 on August 27th. He's from Baldwin, New York. He's 6'6", 210 with a 6'11" wingspan. He's a guy who, he's about it. Through college, he was about a 43% field goal shooter and almost 33% three-point shooter. He's a guy who was consistently solid for Seton Hall. He had a great performance in the 2021 Big East tournament, and he was first team All Big East honors in 2022. He had a really strong pre-draft process. He was Portsmouth MVP, as well as got himself a call-up from the G League Ignite camp to the NBA Draft Combine. This guy is a great defender. He's all sorts of tough, physical. He's got great, quick hands. He knows how to turn his hips, and he's a guy who will try to sprint and contest any of his man. And he really knows how to use that 6'11" wingspan to block shots, contest jumpers, and he's really a guy tough to shoot over. And being 6'6", 210, he could develop eventually into a physical four along the lines of Royce O'Neal, PJ Tucker, and Jay Crowder, but as of right now, he seems like he could be a solid wing player, and I like him enough as a defender and tough dude that I thought he was definitely a guy who should have been drafted, and at the very least to get a two-way contract, but he'll get himself an opportunity to compete for a roster spot. At the very least, I think they should give him they gave him a one-year deal. They could convert it into a two-way, but hopefully he stays on it, and if he can develop a consistent three-point shot, he'll play in the NBA for a while, 10-year plus career. He's the kind of guy that coaches love on their team, a defensively versatile 3-and-D wing / small ball stretch four, and he's a guy that I would bet to make the team. He's a guy who can shoot and he can be good at catch and shoot scenarios, it seems like, and he has the size and length to be solid at the wing position as well as guard some forwards. And I think it's definitely interesting. And I know he's not quite an all defensive potential guy. He's a good catch and shoot guy, but on limited attempts, basically out of spot ups. And I know that he wasn't the best finisher either. He made just 39.8% of his shots at the basket per synergy, which is a miserably low number. That is about what he shot with his mid-range jumper. And he doesn't really have the explosive leaping ability, but I think he's kind of a three-pointer bust kind of player. Like, even though he's a great defender, I mean, you could have a long career in Europe, and he has really good cutting ability, and he's someone that is fun to watch, and seems like he could be very fun to play off of. But I will admit that for him, the three-point shot will be indicative of his career more than other players, just because he's a guy who's a tweener in terms of size, okay? And I think he's a good player, and I think he's a guy who has the potential to have a long career. Again, it comes down to that three-point shot, and I do hope that it works out for him, because he's a guy that I liked watching during the pre-draft process. He had skill, and I think, again, it comes down to him just being an efficient enough offensive player that he's able to be there on the court, because in today's NBA, you need a jumper at the very least, or to be a good passer, or some sort of offensive skill that doesn't make you a complete negative, because, for some reason, the modern NBA, not all teams, but a lot of teams seem like they love that school of Mike D'Antoni, school of thought, one might say. And I'm not a fan of it whatsoever, but the idea of this being kind of, like, people just love the idea of, like, oh, we should just have a bunch of shooters on the floor. I love old school basketball, and I think Jared Rhoden, obviously, dude, if he came in the 90s, he would have been a first round pick, maybe. Maybe that's being overzealous. Maybe, I'm being a bit ostentatious about him right there. But I do believe he is a good player. He's a guy who deserves a contract, and I think the Portland Trailblazers are going to get a guy who could potentially, be their Trendon Watford shocked people last year. I know a lot of people will admit that if you had told them about Trendon Watford last year, they would have told you shut the hell up. Trendon Watford wasn't going to make an impact.